violations on this 7 o'clock. It's Monday night, 7 o'clock, time for the stars. City council meeting. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. If everybody come to order, we'll get this meeting started now. If not, y'all keep on talking. All right, thank y'all. We're going to start off now with the prayer and the place of flag. Or those are yours or what?
No, this is,
Oh, okay.
this is for somebody.
Can I talk to you? Dear Lord, thank you for the blessing of the day. Give us strength, courage, and wisdom to make the proper decision for the city of Lula. Amen. Second, let's go. Jason, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, now it's time for citizen comments. And, we have some rules to go by, adopted by the council. And here they are. A time for citizen public comments will be made available at the beginning and ending of each city of Lula work session and council meeting. Comments can be made by anyone, including business owners whose businesses are located within Lula city limits. Comments will not be limited to any topic. Comments must be directed to the mayor and the council. Language must remain civil, and the speaker should avoid personal contacts on council or staff. The speaker should take their name and address. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. A timer will be set, and at the end of 3 minutes, the speaker will be asked to bring the comment to close. If there's something else to be said, an opportunity will be made available at the next session to offer city comments. What do you like anything you want to say? Okay, we have another opportunity in the meeting to say it, so we carry on. Everybody see the minutes?
Yes.
Any questions about the minutes, any change corrections? I'll entertain a motion to adopt them.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Motion by Juliet, second by Lawrence Smith, adopt the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. And we're adopted. And yard of the month. Yard of the month, April is standing yard of the month, but starting next month, in the month of June, we'll be having a Lula celebration. There will be $100 credit on the utility bill for, if you get awarded the yard of the month for those 2 months. So they're looking good too. So here's one for this month. We got District 1, Gerald Adams. District 2, Donna Kirk. District 3, Samantha Cash. District 4, Samuel Simon Simmons-Swan. And District 5, Mitch Dover. Right, so everybody. If y'all want the address, if we give the address, it's a figure drive by, see what the yard one looks like. Yes. Told that John, I just didn't read the address. I normally read the address, it's already names. So I'll get that one today.
And we'll post that on the website with the address.
Right. Okay, I guess it's time for counter money time. Who's gonna do it?
Where is Frank?
Depot.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
that's right.
Gosh.
That's right, yeah, car control, huh?
All right, so first and foremost, y'all saw some numbers from last week where we are standing. These are the bank balances that I think I copied everybody. This way you have it in front of you. So that's the good news. And the bank balances continue to grow, as would be expected, because you're not spending as much as you're taking in at this point. But you're going to have the opportunity tonight to spend a little bit of that. But at the same time, we're on a 39th week of our fiscal calendar year, where you should be at about 25% remaining. My general fund revenues are at 21%, so you're in a positive position there. Expenditures, I'm doing your job because you told me to be quick tonight, right? So, for Juliet's sake, we're at 29% remaining on the budget, so we're at a positive cash flow right now of $113,283. And where should we be at what historically tells us? We're right about where we are. You know, our projections, we've enjoyed, on the revenue side, where they have exceeded some of our projections. Any questions on the general fund we'd like to discuss? Hearing none, we'll go into the same position where we ought to be in our 39th week, but about 25% remaining. We're about 26% on revenues for the utility fund. And actually the only concern, and I think we made that deposit, Tangi, on the tap fees for sewer. Did we make that over the weekend? So that's not showing a post here. So that would even put us in a better position as far as our revenue stream. And then more importantly, when you go back, you're at 37% remaining on the revenues versus expenditures. So that gives you a positive cash flow as we sit here today of $226,000. Any questions you might have on that? Yeah.
No.
You're quick. Item A, y'all, we talked about that last week, consideration of trade in the 3 Skags for identical 3 models, and the vendor, we've identified as Swinehart's, and we get state pricing on that. That being extended would bring us in at $13,883. So you're getting $41,000 versus trade-in value of $25,000. It's a sweet deal. So why this is something we do every couple of years. So the idea is to get them once they fell out of warranty and hours have been generated. 2 of the units that we're proposing to trade in have over 200 hours on them, which isn't that bad, but they're out of warranty. One of the units is actually 5 years old, and we're getting the same value on that as we are on the other 2 that are only 2 years old, but it only has 176 hours on that. If the council were to go forward with that on the extended pricing, we would recognize that as its budget amendment.
So the total for all 3 would be the $16,649?
Right.
Okay,
Make a motion to go for it.
I'll second that.
Motion by Lawrence Smith, and second by Denise Sharp, to go with trade in the Skag, the new Skags. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Aye.
So the next item is roof replacement. We talked about this last August, and I know this is probably a good time when somebody points out, didn't we already address that? Well, we did, but we're continuing to see deficiencies in the roofing. So we've got 2 prices. I'm waiting on a 3rd price, but I believe this is something that next month we need to nail down if we're gonna go forward. So I'll tell you the ballpark, we're somewhere between $23,000 and $24,000 in replacing that, either in asphalt or in metal roofing. So we will bring that back up, and I'll share that with everybody in advance.
Can I interrupt for just a moment?
Go ahead.
Is there a statement of work that has been prepared? Because I know that I've received some information, there are other roofing companies that are interested in providing a quote.
So we haven't
You
put
may
that.
not have reached out to.
Yes. So what we have done in the past is last August, we actually did put that on the street. And we got, in the quotes that were given then, we advertised it were as high as $36,000.
Mhm.
So this time we went back and we talked to 2 of the vendors that had done, one did a roof replacement here on this building, and the other had put in the roof on the depot, because what we felt we were advertising back last August is we weren't getting competitive bids, and this way we were able to work with the vendors, but we can certainly put that out on the street. We've got all the information to do it with.
Is that something that a potential roofing company could contact the city and see if there was a
Yeah.
statement of work available? And that's for our wastewater treatment plant project?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure that they're aware, they could contact if they want to
Right.
produce a bid.
So that, I mean, with the council, do they want me to put that out for bid? We certainly can. Y'all's call.
I think we have it, you know, I think we're setting it here, if anyone wants to.
Sure.
to, request the statement of work, then they can, you know, submit that if they need to. But I know you contacted the previous two. That's fine. Thank you.
All right. Juliet, I'm doing the best I can, but now you have to you have to listen to our insurance broker. So this would be a good time for our insurance broker to talk to us about, unfortunately, a very important, our annual premium on liability insurance. So you take as much time as you want because this is very important.
Sure. Answer as many questions as I need to. Stephen Baggett again, Insurance Office of America. Thank you for having me. First document, the loss history, loss run ratios. Just to get a gander of what the insurance companies have paid out over the last 5 years versus what they've received from premium. So last 5 years have been a little brutal. No fault of the city. It's all weather related. Large storm back in 2019 destroyed playgrounds, roads, buildings, big weather related claims. So what we've seen really in recent years around coastal areas, Georgia's been impacted a little bit with weather related. So y'all got hit early. A lot of people have been getting hit in the last 3 years. So the property market, the state of insurance companies that write large property, and we're insuring about 20 million of property values. The last 5 years turned into a hard market, which just means insurance companies don't want to insure all of the 20 million at once. They only want pieces of it, which makes pricing just skyrocket. So the insurance companies are scared to be on property. So just wanted to point out the loss ratio is 140% over the last 5 years. Good news, next year, the worst year is going to fall off. So as we look at the renewal next year, it's going to be a lot better position. A lot more insurance companies will look at our proposal, look at bidding at the insurance, quoting the insurance. And with the numbers now, we got a lot of declinations, a lot of no's from insurance companies because of these numbers. So once 2019, 2020 falls off, we're going to be in a lot better position to negotiate, get better pricing. So this year we had 6 declinations, so 6 no's from insurance companies to quote the insurance. Like if you remember, we just picked up the workers' comp a few months ago. So I went back to those carriers because a lot of insurance companies like to bundle. You know, the more policies you have, the better. The more discounts, the more favorable pricing. So I went back to those carriers that I went to for the workers' comp, and they didn't like the numbers. They didn't like the property values. So it was just too scared for them, too risky for them. I would probably say half of the commercial insurance companies now don't want to write anything new with large property. They're scared to write large property or commercial auto right now. So it's very, very hard market when we look at commercial auto and property at this scale. Next document is the renewal proposal. Y'all should have a copy. It's a little spreadsheet I put together. Y'all should have that, but here's a new one. Same document we had last year. Yeah. So this is line by line. Goes through coverage at a high level. Premiums, deductibles. I like hearing the roof replacement. That always makes insurance companies happy. New roof makes them feel a lot more comfortable. So those maintenance things are really important.
These days, you got 2023, 2024, it should be 2024.
Oh, yes, sir. Yep. Yes, sir. 24 to 25. So the property values were about 17 million last year. Each year, the insurance companies kind of tick up the property values just to keep up with inflation, keep up with the cost of construction. So we're almost pushing 20 million total property values. Flood stayed the same. Flood limit, crime, the equipment all stayed the same. Commercial umbrella, we still have a $2 million limit on the commercial umbrella. In the middle of the page highlighted is a quote for $3 million. So what that commercial umbrella does, it sits over your general liability, it sits over your commercial auto liability. So if there's an auto wreck or a claim, liability claim, right now you have $3 million to settle that claim. Commercial auto is really the need for that. Cyber and the professional coverage, the employment practices, and the directors and officers, what I call it, all that was flat. Those premiums were exactly the same from last year. We took the increase on the property. That was really the property, the general liability a little bit, but the property was the one we had I want to say it's a $6,000 increase, right at 5% overall.
$4,618.
4,000 even better. So
And I don't see anybody clapping. Just
I don't expect it anymore. I don't.
Just
So yeah, really in today's world, commercial insurance, this is good renewal for large property. A lot of us are dealing with 30% increases, 50% increases, and anything coastals, 100% increases still. Still with Selective, they have a local presence here in Gainesville. They know the town, the underwriters, lives here on the lake. Great service from him, great service from the company. We had one little incident, didn't even turn into a claim, but they were prompt, very quick to deal with, easy to work with, and that's Selective. So again, like with commercial insurance, with this large property, we looked at deductibles last year, really raising those deductibles. We can look at that again, see what those savings could bring. We have a pretty reasonable deductible now.
So I think last year we looked at raising the deductibles, it was like a $510 savings, and that was it, unfortunately. Didn't reflect all the dollars we were putting down. Joey, have you got a thought on the changing the higher limits on the umbrella from 2 million to 3 million?
I normally defer to our broker on those because that comes with a cost. The normal sales point is that it protects your people. Most of your claims are from your people, but the law doesn't require a $3 million.
I was saying they had a limit of 2 million. Is
No,
the state limit 2 million? Is the state limit 2 million? No. I thought it was. I'm not,
It's the general liability is $1 million occurrence, 2 million aggregate. That's the standard general liability policy. There's no specific requirement. If for years y'all had a $2 million umbrella, which is great protection. There's so many nuclear verdicts in Georgia over a 5-year period, Joey. Like these large, $10 million payoffs have really devastated Georgia. We really need tort reform here in Georgia. So that's what concerns us as brokers. That's what concerns. We never want to be underinsured, but we also don't want crazy high limits where it's going to make it easier for somebody to get the insurance money. So it's a fine line. Like I think $3 million will take care of any injury. $3 million should take care of any vehicle that gets damaged, personal property gets damaged. But as the city grows, that's something that we should pay attention. I know a few around the $5 million umbrella limits. So, but again, it's all what can fit in the budget. So,
I think 2 million is plenty personally.
It's our,
you have a 2 umbrella and you have a 3 total.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 million total coverage.
our increase from last year's coverage for comparable, going from our, the previous policy to this. What, do we have a dollar figure on our increase? Did we provide that to you?
As far as the building and contents and along those lines?
Just the whole package.
Oh, the 4,000.
Sure, so last year's premium was 13,856 versus 118,474, and the bulk of that was under your blanket coverage that went from 52,433 to 57,157. And then the other difference was on inland marine and scheduled equipment was probably where we saw the rest of that increase.
And our umbrella difference, if we were to, did they provide a dollar figure for the $2 million umbrella?
They did. So the difference would be from a $2 million limit to a $3 million limit. The increase currently, you'd be paying $7,684. You would pay $8,780 or $1,096 additional premium, which would take you to, if the council was to consider it, you're considering right now 118,474. And if you were to go ahead with the higher limits, it'd be 119,570. And this is where I could throw in, you budgeted for this year 116,500.
Oh,
Hey, what's $500?
and these numbers was fine.
That's right. Does not confuse it. Council probably should give consideration to, are you content with what's been offered today? Your renewal is May 1. And then, of course, we talked to y'all along the way as we developed this, and unfortunately, I think you heard tonight, was it 7 or 6 that turned down?
6.
So, you know, then the next question is that premium, which by the way, there was no claims in this current fiscal or last fiscal year.
Correct.
So
There was a notice, but it was just a notice, there's no payout, there's no nothing.
right. So, and then, so basically the council, if they're, the decision would be whether or not they want to stay with the $2 million umbrella as stated, or do they want to consider the additional premium for the $3 million limit?
The 2 million is what we've always had that.
And Joey might comment on that. If someone's gonna sue you, the first thing they find out is what your limit is, and then oftentimes that reflects what.
Let's see.
Is that right, Joey?
Yes, sir. And most, as has been pointed out, most of these are on your property damage claims. There's other claims that come in, and we refer that to the insurance company. Y'all are familiar with immunities that protect the city, so.
So we're talking about a $91 difference monthly. $91. And our, this proposed policy, or, would be effective May 1st with, if we don't adopt, to approve, or make modifications, then we would be without coverage at that point, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No.
I hear a second.
Amen. All right. Anybody else got any thoughts or comments?
I'll make a motion to go with that $2 million.
The additional, or the holding at $2 million limit.
$2 million.
Got it.
Paid policy 118 and 474 is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Garner, second by Denise, to pay the liability insurance $118,471 as stated in that proposal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
All right, there's a part B.
Yes.
Stephen, real quick, part B would be, we budgeted $116,000. So, that's okay. So Stephen, is it 20% down?
Yes, sir.
And then 9 monthly equal payments?
Yes, sir. What's the
So
likelihood?
that's an option, and those are at zero interest. In the past, what the council has considered is paying that full premium prior to the end of the fiscal year, which in this case, that's your call. There's a good argument both ways. Wait a minute, we're gonna get, this isn't gonna cost us any interest penalty or a change in the amount of policy. Does the council want to pay the full premium, or do you want me to budget that remainder of the payments into the next fiscal year?
So there's no benefit to paying it all up front?
One would argue no. Not with this company not charging. A lot of times the premium
Well,
is
the one
adjusted.
benefit is we don't have accounting for it for the next 9 months.
Right.
Not something done.
Right.
That's why we're gonna charge our staff.
There's some carriers that offer like paying full discount, where you get
Right.
10% off, and the selected doesn't
But
have
this, they
that.
don't have that, okay.
So-
But a lot of other insurance companies also, if you're gonna stretch payments out, charge a higher premium.
Right.
Right.
On top of that.
Plus, that one
An
interest.
adjustment premium. It's your call.
Make a motion, go with the 20% down and extend it out over 9 months.
I second.
Motion by McGuire Smith, second by Tony Cornett. Pay it monthly, 20% down, 9-month installments. I'm not gonna try to do the math for you.
No, he gets to do that. You just
All
send us
fair side.
premium notice.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And Stephen, to your credit, he has been very responsive with, one, giving us information with regards to the marketplace and what opportunities we have to help, reduce our claims. And then the other is, he's very responsive if we pick up the phone and call him. And for that, we're very appreciative.
And I finally remember his name.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, thank you. All right, what else we got?
That's it under finance, unless the council has any questions.
I have none. Anybody else? We all have to, we got all of it. Okay. Water and sewer?
So, good news, if you were at the plant today, we're doing a lot of maintenance, and that's all in good shape in that regard, so it's keeping things, consumer confidence, what we call a CCR report, although it's not due till June 1st, you'll be seeing that come up on the website. We're pleased to report that, we are very fortunate in the city of Lula. All our water comes from well production, and we're very fortunate we get the best quality water in comparison to a lot of communities that have to take out of lake water. So you'll be seeing that report come out and posted on our website. Well exploration. So we keep talking about what we're going to do about a development agreement with Moss Farms. So I've made a copy of Joey has put together, and he's done a great job in regards to what's available to us. This kind of puts it in more of layman's terms that would suggest what you're agreeing to. And then Joey wants, certainly, there's a couple of items for debate there. When I say debate, that's a good thing, don't take that wrong. In other words, you have a couple of options available to you. So we said that we would try to get that narrowed down from the 14 pages. And this is kind of what we've done with this development agreement for the wells for Meritage Homes. That being said, the challenge we have is our ordinance clearly lays out that all the costs for development of wells is that of the developer. In this agreement, what's being proposed and what we had talked to y'all about previously was that we would create an escrow account and those dollars would be put into that after being paid by the developer for $420,000. And it's actually an Exhibit A, and then as that money was drawn down, we would keep notice back to the developer for the initial test wells. That being said, if you go back to what your ordinance says, all the responsibility for cost, where my worry is, remains that of the developer, and actually they should spend all the costs and we should just validate that that's what they did and they did it under our direction. So that's not what this agreement says. This agreement says you would create the escrow and take the money, which you know was the initial proposal. So the question for the council is, do we return this back to them and say, no, this is what we identified the cost of $420,000. You'll pay every invoice as they come down. In other words, we won't touch their money. And Joey, you want to comment on that?
I do. I have told Dennis that it's my recommendation that we not have an escrow account so that they don't pay into us, and instead the developers pay the cost of the well as our ordinance requires, and the purpose of the development fee agreement would be that if they are able to build a system that is sufficient for us to take the system that they develop and expand it off of their site, then we would, Dennis and Brian have come up with a method of calculating what we would reimburse the developer for building the system that we're able to use off of their site, as opposed to having an escrow account and then having the city responsible to make payments to their contractor and for all the costs that you see in this development fee agreement, because then we've just got another accounting issue that we've got to handle. And my preference, as stated in the development agreement that I drafted, is we calculate a method to provide for reimbursement if the system serves more than the community where this developer is drilling the wells to serve that community. It started, the history of it has been that and this is common in other jurisdictions, where the developer will develop the system, and then the purpose of the development fee agreement is in lieu of the city collecting the tap fee, that for anybody who taps to that system, because they dedicate it to the city, just like they do with the subdivision road that they're dedicating. But when they dedicate that and we collect the tap fee, what the developer was looking for was would reimburse the developer for that cost. In other words, our tap fee would be reimbursed to them. Our ordinance doesn't provide for that. Our ordinance says it's their responsibility to build and develop the system, but it has to be to our standard. Therefore, our professionals inspect it, being Brian and our geologists. So all of that is built in, but the escrow agreement, I don't see the need in our circumstances. And as y'all know, anytime we're taking in another account, we've just got in a duty as a city to account for that. We're not bidding out this job. It's not like they're paying it to the city for the city to then bid out the job. It's their development. We don't want to get in that. So those are the two matters that Dennis is talking about that are up for debate, because I think our other professionals prefer that they pay it and then make it very clear that whoever's working for them has to report to our people and respond to our professionals. My response to that is, our professionals approve you for inspection. So you build it, we have to be called out, we have to be given access to the project, to the property, to perform the necessary inspections to say, yes, that meets our standards, or no, it does not. But that's the principal difference between these two agreements.
First thing I want to do on this agreement is not 519, they're approved for 480. They were not approved for 519.
Yeah, so that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's mine, but
I I think that's just where Brian got that number, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's all, one thing jumped out at me first time. Wait a minute.
So I just wanted to ask a clarifying question of Joey. The recommendation, of course, then would not be to have an escrow account established, but would rather, if the well that's produced by the developer exceeds the capacity needed, would we then offer to purchase, reimburse and purchase all of the apparatus and infrastructure that they would have put in place?
A percentage on it. If you read item 9, item 9 says, should the Moss Farm well or wells established in accordance with the agreement exceed 100 gallons per minute, then marriage will be credited with proportional amount of the cost on a dollar per gallon per minute basis towards the water system connection fees. So in essence, you know, it would be very beneficial for them to hit a well that would be, let's just use 150 gallons per minute, and then we could credit that back a portion of that.
And if that is credited back, is there a limit on how much credit goes back to them?
So it's directly related to what their cost was. If there's one advantage to having escrow, and I'm not a proponent, it is you know what the cost is because you're paying all the bills. If the example I give you is, let's hope they hit a 200 gallon per minute well, which is possible. Their cost per gallon falls down, and our cost of reimbursement, and I'll remind y'all, our reimbursement idea was if we reimburse anything, it would be credit towards the tap fees versus the number of units they have. So there'd never be an exchange of dollars on our part. It would just be, we would reduce their tap fee per unit, is what it boils down to. Hey, let's hope they hit, they spend $400,000 and they hit 200 gallons a minute because their cost went down and our cost is controlled.
And does this proposed agreement address maintenance?
No, so that would be based on what we charge, just like we do all our customers now. That's rolled into what your monthly billing is.
Do items 3 and 6 contradict each other?
Item what?
3 and 6?
Joey can
Once
speak to that
once
better
they pay
than I.
420,000 city, and after the fund was sent by Lula, and if to establish it. And item 6 says, once the funds exceed 420,000, the city will notify Meritage and want the money back. Is it contradicting, or I'll read it wrong?
Will notify Meritage 1 month prior to needing the anticipated shortfall amounts, and Meritage will tender the requested amount. So if the amount exceeded the 420,000, well, one, they'd already be on notice, because we're gonna keep, if you chose the escrow route, then that, we would be keeping them abreast of the changes as they went forward. And in the event they're experiencing more cost, they would have, in this particular line, it says they would have a month to either pay that or go, or
So
not.
that's 420, the city pays it, then bills them for the difference, is it?
So
Is that
in
what
this
it-
case, we're controlling the 420. They're giving
Once
it
it's
to us.
gone, this said once it's gone.
Right, once it's gone.
Then we have to bill them for the overage.
Well, we have to give them notice so they can either institute more dollars or the project stops right then. This development agreement doesn't guarantee you'll pull 1 gallon of water out of the ground. This means, what development agreement should do is put the burden back on the developer. This is a cost and clearly a risk that they take, but one that's frequent.
Has Meritage seen this version of this document yet?
No, because, they have seen Joey's version, and of course that counters their same version as well, and they have communicated that would be tough sell. Now, that being said, hey, we want to be partnership with everybody, but this is the cost of doing business. That's what it boils down
So
to.
the one that Joey's recommending is the one they don't like. Is that what I'm?
Well, that's putting words in their mouth, but yes, that's probably.
I'm gonna put it.
Yeah,
They hadn't put the money out for it.
They've been
they're fine with,
That's-
they don't have a problem with paying escrow. They don't. Our concern is, we don't wanna leave ourselves exposed.
And one more point of clarification, asking Joey. Item number 1 in here, is it your expectation that that would be changed or stricken from the proposal? Because that's the one establishing an escrow
Yes.
fund?
Yes,
Okay.
again, because the way our ordinance is written, and the fact that you're not going to reimburse tap fees when these folks tap on to the system, because it'll be dedicated to the city. Once they finish and it passes inspection, and our people have approved it, it'll be dedicated, it'll be the city. So then the idea generally in a development fee agreement is as the tap fees are paid, then we account for that and we make reimbursement. That's not our ordinance. And so the need to create an escrow account, so now it comes into the public's funding, but yet we are not going to bid the job, gives me pause. So I just assume they build it, we inspect it, but we provide for a reimbursement provision if I'm able to use it off-site. And I tried to capture that, or at least get the language started with 2C in my agreement. I understand there needs to be some wordsmithing on it, but that was the intent, was that as we issue building permits and tap onto their system, we'll reimburse them at a rate that our engineers or staff tells us this is what we ought to do. But if we don't ever go off-site, then they just build it, we inspect it, we improve it, or we approve it, and they dedicate it to the city, and off we go.
Is the request of council tonight to approve additional creation of an additional document by Joey Holmes at your direction to create or revise an agreement to exclude a escrow account?
So the decision, you're right. We would either, what the position we need from the council is, do we want to exclude the idea of the escrow account, which is, would be acceptable to them, or Joey pointed out, there may be some wordsmith, and we're not worried about that. But at the end of the day, understand just two things. $420,000, that is, you bring in a well, you build a well building, you do the whole 9 yards. So their exposure is going to be much less than that. We think around $190,000 to do the test well. Does the council want to go with an escrow or not? That's really, don't you think, Joey, we can satisfy that tonight
Yes.
So-
and then communicate that to them?
What you're recommending, let me make sure I've got, because we've talked about a lot of stuff. What you're recommending is they build and we inspect and make sure it's up to our standards. If they hit over 100 gallons per minute, then we do the formula and reduce the tap fees per what it is over.
If it exceeds.
If it
right.
exceeds the 100. Is that what I'm, is that what
Yes,
I'm understanding?
yes.
On the way you want to go? Okay. Just making sure. Got my head right. The other one, we would do money in account and we would oversee everything.
Correct.
Okay. I just have to make sure I got it straight. A lot of information. Sorry, y'all.
No, that's a good question.
You gotta understand.
Ask
I know,
away.
I make sure I've got it
Decide,
straight.
You guys got any questions? Any thoughts? It's a tough one, huh?
I believe I can make a motion that might satisfy what Joey needs to move forward. We'll do that.
Leave off the escrow.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah.
No escrow.
I make a motion that, we move forward with recommendation for a new proposal or modification to the existing proposal to exclude an escrow account option. And we will await
Word it from there.
Joey Holmes.
I'll second that.
All right, we got proposed redevelopment development agreement excluding escrow account made by Tony, second by Juliet. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Did not get the escrow. Simple as that, right?
Good. The other item is Delta Neptune software. We talked to the utility committee about that. So, in the perfect world, the committee's been able to look at what options were available to us, and there were a couple. Your exposure would be around $7,000 unless the council chooses to take advantage of some of those options. What we'd like to be able to do is, just because for our fiscal year, if we can go ahead and begin that transition to where we can update our software, order the hardware as well, and probably do that in the month of June, which, you know, we can certainly roll into next year's fiscal budget, but choice is yours. So if you remember, your exposure is going to be, if you went with the whole kit and caboodle one, we don't recommend, you'd have over $10,000. This way, we reduce it to right at $7,000, and you'd have an annual cost that'd be around $4,700.
Isn't that the one that we're waiting to have a meeting with them?
No, that's yeah, it's easy to confuse, but that's Harris.
Okay,
We're gonna talk about that in just a second.
okay.
So this is Delta, this is our meters and how we read those meters,
Yeah,
not how we bill them. Easy.
I do believe that Juliet was referring to communication from Delta themselves, wanting to really kind of sell the point that, you know, or at least demonstrate the belt clips versus the
So we have,
drive-by.
just so y'all know, we have done that. We have actually taken their optional items and used them, and we did not get the results that we saw was beneficial. And actually, if y'all remember when we were talking about the committee, two of the arguments were you have two readers, or their recommendation is you only have one. Well, if one reader goes down, now you put yourself in a precarious situation because you don't have a backup for that. Versus spending for two readers and then doing away with that optional, what we call the $4,000 reader box. But, you know, we can certainly have them come in. Unfortunately, their system will no longer support and software sometime in the month of July. So it's catch-22. But we can have them come if you like. Unfortunately, you know, the problem is, I think they're gonna try to sell us on the $4,000 box, and we just didn't see the benefit of it. It's limited what it can actually do.
So the recommendation was for
Two
two
readers.
handhelds.
Yeah, two readers, right.
Is that that's the, when it's listed on here, that's what's
That-
built,
that-
okay.
Right.
Two of those, and then the software update, is that what?
So,
So is
yes,
the total this, all right, I've got this page.
good,
Is that what I'm looking at?
right.
That's all the numbers you're talking
Right,
about?
so let me show you the one number that stands out on here. That's, is it really where
This
you're
optional, that's the one you're talking about dropping
Right.
off? Okay.
Did the committee set and decided not to go with that
Right, which would take us back to, it was a matter of
23,000?
implementation.
Dennis, you had made mention there of an annual fee going forward of around $4,700.
Right.
I'm looking at, on the invoice that was submitted, looks like they have a $5,950 option on there, or, well, not option, they're just stating the Neptune 360 Advanced AMR annual software as a service. As an annual.
So I may have that wrong, there's a cost on there as well for training to begin with.
Yeah, that's an additional $2,500.
Right, and that's your initial cost going
Or,
in.
yeah, or no, 2,000.
Right.
Plus the one-time setup fee, which we wouldn't have to have again.
Right.
That was the 2,500. Okay. So my
So I'll
concern would be
verify that,
the-
and I'll get that number
Yeah.
back to you, but the number I was given was 47, where's Frank hiding? Is he in the room yet? Hey, did they not come back to us with a different number or not?
I have not seen the different number.
Let's see what that is, and we'll get that back to you.
Okay.
Just like 24 people, it should be. Okay, well, they're gonna come back with us with that one. Okay, now then we'll look at Harris. We got meetings on the 29th, or what? 22nd.
22nd.
I can't do the 22nd. I have the historical society meeting.
Can we do it at 5?
What time?
So Frank's been talking with them. What's their,
Can you do it earlier?
The earliest I could possibly be there would be 5:30, but I'd have to leave literally at 6:30.
And I think we discussed it as a committee, so it's just trying to follow up and answer any questions you had, so it should not take more than an hour at all.
Okay. As long as I can do it at 5:30.
I thought we had just set it up, we did not have it set up with them.
I'll contact Daphne.
I thought we already said.
What time do we have it?
I'm saying
It's currently set for 6:30, but I'll talk to her about shifting it earlier.
And that's also by Zoom meeting, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Your Harris. Okay, we have a request for streetlights at pickleball court. I think the committee had a recommendation on that.
I don't believe we've met with the committee yet.
I was thinking we had, but,
Not, that item came in, I think, later part of last week.
oh, we're gonna try to do it tonight, well, that's what it is. So we need to have a committee meeting for that, right?
Right.
Parks Council?
Right.
Okay, I'll just get that one in there. All right, the Lula Development Authority scheduled a meeting for 6 o'clock, number 23rd here. And, I saw something about training going on for that too. You might remember?
So, I think Joey, what you had planned was, the adoption of the bylaws as well as or recognition of officers, is that right?
Yes. And then provide information for when training will be available.
Right.
Okay, Old City Hall renovation.
So the only reason, y'all talked about that last week, you just need a little bit of direction. That would be something you would capitalize if you want to go forward. So, and to the extent, you know, we probably need a little bit of direction back from committee to come back. I don't know if you want to take that to finance, but, you know, that's not something that we would budget in our operation. It would be capitalized. So I think, Juliet, you spoke to them last week about that
I
directly.
did, I think we need to, for my part, I need to go back to the historical society members and say, all right, look, this is what we can do. Are you guys good with this? Blah, blah, blah.
And what Juliet had communicated is pretty extensive, so in our discussions, whether you capitalize it or not, at the end of the day, you want to come back and have the opportunity to probably vacate the building for 6 months, so that's a challenge that they would have to look at in order to make those improvements. So that's where that stands. Do we want to take that to committee? Get a little bit more direction. I think with the eyes on it, I think, you know, a picture tells the real story. So I think it, you know, it's fine by me. I don't care what committee we take to, whether we take it to finance or downtown development.
I'm fine with either one. Finance,
That's
because
what
I think that we'd be looking at being a capital project or capital expense. We certainly will engage our downtown beautification and development
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Yeah, here.
Me, entities.
Okay.
So it
Y'all
don't-
could meet at the same time, couldn't you?
All right, Planning and Zoning Commission is going to hear a variance for Hemlock Street on May 7th. And also one for Maiden Lane on the same time, and they'll come to council May 20. With 5961 Main Street, Albert is here tonight. He asked me, I thought he said, well, you might need to explain some more stuff. Do y'all need any more information about it?
And I think we got the application in. Again, I've explained to y'all too many times about the advertising requirements. I'm going to try to get this one in because of when I got it and I'm able to draft it to the Saturday paper so that it can be before you on May the 20th. That's going to be my effort. Yes, sir. I may have misstated.
If I may, I met with Albert late last week. He's able to meet his 5-foot setback with some revisions. So it may, I'll talk to you tomorrow, it may be overcome by events, but he may be able to do what he needs to do without it.
It'll be good. But I'll go ahead and draft the ads and have it sent over. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw it scheduled.
Well, everybody's sitting down. So we have put that out locally, and this is certainly one we want to put out on the street. We received a price to do about 2/3 of the new section. I'll use everybody with the whole section for tearing up what's on the ground and replacing that with sod at a cost of exceeding $52,000. Ouch. So we were trying to figure out how you skin that cat by cutting it into thirds, and the idea was to identify the larger portion, and that was the pricing we came back. We can go back to finance, we can go back to the cemetery committee, but at the end of the day, that far exceeds what we thought dollar-wise. And in the perfect world, our idea was you do a little bit at a time so it's not so painful. Well, this is going to be painful apparently no matter what we do, so we'll take that back to finance and see again how much we can appropriate for that. And maybe that's the driving force on what we end up doing with it.
Would there be any type of grant for cemetery?
Not for what we're proposing in sod replacement. That's more of a maintenance item.
Okay. We got a street committee meeting Thursday, 18th, 5 o'clock. And I also have a question.
I'm streets. I told y'all I can't do anything on the 18th. I have a medical procedure.
So what might work for y'all? That's probably the better question, right? As far as
Sorry.
the date.
I think I just see the email.
Just looking at my calendar real quick.
Nobody said happy tax day. I don't understand.
I mean, Tony, I can do next Thursday or Friday,
When you say, not the
the
18th.
25th.
Okay.
I can do the 25th or the 26th. I just can't do the 18th.
Yeah, either one of those work for me.
Okay. So what if we say the 25th and stick with the same time?
5 p.m. Yeah.
You got it. That was painless.
Dang.
Got a question with the ball field October 4th, 11th for revival.
Y'all had commented on that last week. It's just a matter of the council taking approval on it.
We got one going on this week, by the way, so.
I make a motion that we accept the usage of the ball field.
I'll second.
Motion of the police, second by Jones, to approve the request to use the ball field for revival from October 4th to 11th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay. I also have a request from Dave Wilson to close Carter Alley from May 17th to 19th for street vendors.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have some questions about this. before we get into this.
Okay.
Last time, there was a fee charge for this. Nobody told us about it during the meeting. But after the meeting, we found out there was a fee charge. During the presentation, there was no mention of fees charged for that. And, then this officer said that they're involved. Are they involved this time too?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it will be a fee charge. I tried to use it up front this time, but last time it was totally shot.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shock you.
But you know what I'm saying, like I said,
But if you don't have a commitment to some kind of funding to an event like that, you don't have a commitment to an event. No one show up.
I just, like I say, it was kind of a shock, and I said, wait a minute, we didn't tell them to charge for that. There's just a question that took in my mind, this is, they didn't have to charge vendors, so we'll be a for-profit event.
It costs to
Yeah.
put out pay and all that stuff too.
I don't, okay. Now, that's my discussion. I've already got a motion and a second. You all fair say aye?
Aye.
All opposed say no? Okay, we've had several requests for speed tables. Do we want to consider about my policy, let's go write it up for us?
So we had some discussion with street committee, and then the idea was is to develop some policy that will allow for participation depending on whether it's subdivision or an open street. So we should have something they can come back. The county Hall County had considered adoption of a similar policy, but yet never fully implemented it. So maybe the street committee, you know, a little critiquing, will have something for them to look at.
Yeah, we have that set for April 25th
Right.
at 5 p.m., so we'd be glad to see any additional information that may be gathered from Hall County's exercise of that option.
Yes, please.
We may create our own.
Okay. All right. We'll get that straightened out. Now, we got a special election coming up in May. Early voting starts on the 29th, with it, the date I remember. Yep, the 29th, and continues to May 17th. It's going to be at the church. Early voting's going to be at East Hall Community Center. Day voting on May 21st will be at Baptist Church. And then, got another reminder here, downtown communication will be 29th at 5 p.m. with the architect for Carver Alley. On Monday. And our district meeting, District 2 GMA is Wednesday in Livonia, 5:30 to 7:30. Historical Society meets next Monday at 7 o'clock at the Depot. Food ladies having lunch Wednesday, the 24th, noon, and 6:30 for supper. Still doing supper, right?
Yes.
Regular day, May 3rd and 4th, if you haven't got a booth, already get it. Did we get a reply from our nominee?
We did, he isn't accepted.
He has accepted?
Yep.
I guess I can answer it.
Can.
Thank you very much. Lamb Griffin will be our grand marshal. I did get that right then.
You did?
Okay.
Say again.
Lamb Griffin will be our grand marshal for
Okay.
the movie park at Trolls band together on Friday night. We still got some booths left. Is this total still 240? Is it going up?
It's gone up by just a few, so, you know, there's normally, we're about where we should be.
Yeah, we're running out, so you have to pay for it.
So if you're a food vendor, that's become a little tighter, so we probably have about 3 or 4 spots left for food vendors. And rest are left for crafts.
I got myself a little reminder here, just a reminder that the Historic Society having a car show on June 8th from 7 to 4. They also have a fall festival on September 28th from 10 to 6, and Sunday, 29th. That's my reminder for myself. Okay, now it's time for citizen comments tonight. You guys can give me one side.
Thank you. Robert Griffel, 1 Narramore Way. I just want to reiterate to the council about what we spoke at the work session. A few of us neighbors have been speaking about our zoning and our setback issues there in the Narramore development, and that we will look at doing a request, that to come on the next agenda for requests that all the lots in the Narramore development that are zoned AR have a waiver of the new zoning regulations on AR that would effectively turn them back to the way they were prior to the rezoning and the setback laws that's really intended for undeveloped property.
Let's just rezone residential instead of variance, you should rezone the whole thing, something residential.
Yeah.
That's the easiest, is that not right, Joe?
Well, that's rezoning, but the waiver, I don't know if everybody wants to change theirs from agricultural, but just get back their setbacks that were because it was already developed. And I believe it will. But Joey may have the best solution too on that.
It's gonna be an overlay district, you'd have to have the zoning hearings, but what I heard described would be an overlay district for the Narramore subdivision to reduce the setbacks to
Right.
what
Just
it
reduce the
was.
setbacks away and leave the zoning as it is.
They're gonna make that zone agriculture.
Right, leave it zoned, or, you know, somebody can come in with a zoning, but what I heard discussed, if council chooses to move forward, that's the way to do it, is, you know, how you did an overlay at 365, you do an overlay here for this area, just say for the purpose of changing the setbacks within this specific area.
So really not change them, just revert back to what they were. And like Joey said, overlay into it without having to rezone all the property. And it'd just be an overlay back to, that's original what it was to begin with. Because I get it, why the setbacks were put in place. I truly get it. But without that being said, I lost 6 foot of property. Some going in like over somewhere. But I think that would be a very good conclusion for everybody. That would work out well for the people that are going to do stuff. And we'd like you to take that into consideration. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I also live on Narramore Way, excuse me, but can you put this on a meeting list or however you do your ayes and nays and, because there's people that are standing in limbo until our council members make any decision on Narramore Way.
We could,
Take it to the zoning committee.
yeah, we could put that in planning and zoning.
Yeah.
Pardon?
What's that, meetings? Public
Well,
hearings.
we could discuss in planning and zoning what our options are, and I think, you know, I certainly would want to evaluate that to make sure that the zoning, well, the intent would be recreated possibly through overlay district, but it may not be the current R1 zoning or setbacks. But we just want to look at it and make sure that we get it right. So we can put that in our planning and zoning committee. So we'll have to schedule that. I think there was another item on the agenda. We haven't set the date for it yet, but I know that's Garnet Smith and myself, as well as you, Joe. And we'll set a date for that and make sure that's part of the agenda. But we can bring it back in
But that doesn't
May.
set our timeline, she's trying to get it done.
We would like to move on some stuff before the summer's over.
We want to make sure that we get it, I think we'll have enough time to get it on the agenda for May. And we could have something possibly ready as early as the work session, which is the second Monday in May.
Right.
So less than a month.
And overlay would do that, it's a lot quicker than anything else.
I think it's pretty clear, as to, you know, what's
Still got to have
requested.
hearings, still got to have public hearings.
Well, I mean, that was one thing I was gonna throw in, if, you know, when those changes, and I'm sure they would understand, that would begin the process, but the state law mandates that we have public hearings to be heard and for consideration and adoption.
But they can go ahead and do it without us having a lot, okay, change the law.
Well, and they have the option also, they could ask for a variance that would speed, at least in their particular case, the option up.
No, they could not move forward, Mayor, until you approve the ordinance changing the setbacks.
That's what,
unless they got a
that's what
variance.
she wants to find out how fast she can
So
act.
the variance might be their best avenue right now. Or variance request.
We could fast track that.
Well, again, we're governed by the state law, but, the other process, you know, again, would take public hearing. You'd want to go forward with that, but if you had a plan in front of you, I'd say, oh yeah, we could get that done, but we're still in the development stage of what would be suitable to the council. So,
I can advertise for the hearings. There's no requirement that you proceed with the public hearing on a specific ordinance, but the earliest you could have those hearings would be your June meetings. We would have the planning commission have their public hearing the first Tuesday in June, and then you would vote on it my time is up. You would vote on it.
I wish somebody would use that on me, don't you?
Then you would vote on it on the third Monday of June. That would be the earliest we could get an overlay district ordinance approved.
Otherwise, we pay $300 and ask our neighbors if we have their permission to build or to change our property.
You don't have to ask your neighbors. We are required under our ordinance and state law to send notice to your neighbors, but it's ultimately up to council as to whether your variance is approved.
Either way, June's gonna be your earliest. It don't matter which way you go. Correct?
That's what,
Because you're not gonna meet the public notice.
that's what I'll.
Even on the variance, it'll be June before it gets put on.
That's right. June 17th.
Anybody else? Okay, Board of County.
All right, thank you. We'll talk about a reminder of who we are and who we hope to be. We citizens want to remind each other, as well as our city officials, regardless of the position you hold or even represent, the pathway of city of Lula are gone and forgotten. Change requires a new attitude. All of our attitudes have got to change. Just remember, it is the time for the conditions of Lula, Georgia to change. Stop feeding fear and move positive things. Stop putting junk food inside and change your diet. Remember that the decisions you make today will make positive change possible in the future. We citizens want everyone to know, especially all of our city officials to know and understand that Lula, Georgia is under construction, and we can't afford to let some things that seem difficult to keep us from moving forward. Whenever you are trying for better things and improve conditions, you will succeed. Don't lose faith or even think of giving up. We citizens of Lula are hoping and expecting that all of our elected officials, as well as those appointed, to know how important it is to work together, because whenever two elephants find each other, the ground loses grass. We want all of our elected officials to tell us how or when you can provide us with different kinds of industries, job opportunities, groceries, specialty stores, and a clinic. All of these are necessary to make Lula an ideal place to live, work, and raise and educate capable families and children. We know whenever we are under pressure, it shows how we are able to continue moving forward. Showing us this will tell you what kind of person You really are. We simply want to tell all our city officials in a compassionate way that when you serve, there's a giant out there in front of you trying very hard to stymie growth and development. We want a place where everyone is welcome and can feel comfortable building a life, a family, a career, a retirement, and worshiping and prospering in an environment of peace and safety. All of us, regardless of the decisions that we have, must understand the power we have where we can use it as best to make a difference. That is why we all elected you, so that you can bring about the right things that are most needed in our town. We are asking you to take your position very seriously, whether at a public meeting, a called meeting, or a private meeting. Make the call be the right one. Someone once said, character is what you do in the dark. Meaning character becomes clear by our actions, words, and deeds. We citizens are very proud of our present officials. You haven't let anyone keep you from doing the right thing and doing what is required of you. We can't allow the past to keep us from the wonderful future that is shaping up now by pushing through and achieving our goals. What we believe is reflected in how we treat others. Just remember, there is a higher power watching us, and our actions will produce positive results. We citizens can't expect these things that we need to be accomplished overnight, but we don't want to see feet dragging or procrastination mauling our way forward. We citizens want each one of you to be bold in carrying out your obligations and fulfilling the goals we have envisioned. Thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you even more for the work that lies ahead. Thank all of you.
Thank you, Lord God. We're gonna have executive session now, we're gonna have council comments before we do. Julie, you go first.
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. It's nice to see some new faces joining us again, so thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. Crowd looks good. We've got a few empty seats we need to fill up next month. Looks good. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out, and I was also noticing we had more people here tonight, especially from last week. Last week was a little puny. Enjoy the warm weather this week. It's supposed to be beautiful. Have a good week and a good weekend.
I just want to say, it's really an honor for us to be up here, that you have elected us to serve you. And I want to also just, point out that, as I continue to attend training sessions, I know several council members are looking forward to additional training that's coming. We get the opportunity to go learn from other cities and other elected officials how to do things. And it really kind of, reinforces the things that we're being told by, our staff that we have here, Dennis included. We've got Frank now on board as well. Like Dennis said, I'll give you credit, Dennis. He said, things in government go slow. And that is very true. And a lot of it is, our hands are tied. We're handcuffed to the law, making sure that we're doing it right. And so that's one thing to point out. But I also want to say that Lula is experiencing growing pains. And we're experiencing growing pains that are similar to cities that are 3 times our size. That's what I'm finding out when I'm discussing these issues with other cities. And that for us to do it, we don't have the budget or the staff to be handling these things that other cities are, that are 3 times our size can tackle. And divide up all these different duties, and they're able to get, resolutions quickly, or at least quicker than we are. But we are doing what we can with the staff that we have. And when I say that, I'm referring to, large projects that are coming. You've all heard of the inland port, and it's a constant, I should say, effort on our part to make sure that our voice is heard. And that's not the only large issue that's coming our way. All of the development that you hear being spoken about, some, aren't, haven't materialized themselves yet. Properties aren't purchased yet, things of that nature. Anyone that's looking to come here to make development. So we want to be prepared for that. So I just want to let you know that we are experiencing these growing pains that are more commonly seen by cities 3 times our size. So I think we've got a good makeup here on council. We're definitely dedicated. I see it. We're dedicated to learning what we're supposed to know. And anyone that's elected, would recognize that when you first come into office, you don't know these things. We're actually blessed with an opportunity from the Georgia Municipal Association to have training that's made available to us. 60 plus different classes that we can learn all of the details on how to properly deal with annexation requests. You've heard some of those items brought up in the past. The setback, subdivision regulations. We are learning as quickly as we can, and I know we call on Garnet. Garnet's a seasoned veteran here that can help guide us. We've also got Dennis. We've got Frank. We also have Joey, and Tangi's seen a few things. So I just want you to know that we are doing our best. And we are, I'll say it again, like I said last week, we are going to make mistakes, and we're going to do what we can to make those right. But just please have patience with us. And I want to say thank you to Mordecai. Mordecai, tonight you were talking about, tell us when these developments are coming. And I know one of the actions that we've taken that's been a long time coming is that Development Authority, which has that meeting coming up. When was it? The 23rd? So I'm really looking forward to having our Development Authority put in place and with their marching orders going forward so that we can get those dates, Mordecai, so that we can identify kind of what our goals are and then start, formulating a timeline or, a stretch goal to get those things done. So thank you. I know, thank you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm going to add to what he said. So when we go to these meetings, a lot of times we learn not what to do, but the mistakes that other cities have made. You learn more what they done and failed at than you actually learn what to do, honestly. There's some stuff that will blow your mind that actually our little city's not that bad. We've got it going on pretty good when you go and listen to the stories. So with that being said, really it's not. You think it is, but it's really not. When you get out there and you meet with these other cities and they tell you your stories, you're sitting there going, oh, I'm glad I'm where I'm at. So we've got a good little city, and I'm proud of it. So anyway.
I can't talk, but I want to say thank y'all for coming. We'll see you next month. We're going to executive session. If we don't expect to make a decision tonight, but you're welcome to stay around in case we do. But we're not expecting it. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Motion by Denise, second by Frank, for executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Give comments.
That gives me some.